Hey, what is going on everybody, and welcome to Fantasia. For today, we're going to be jumping into another session of Epic 7 now today. Got some more RTA clips for you guys. So we're going to jump into some more replays here, because again, I've been playing a ton off camera, and it's mostly because it kind of helps me concentrate a bit more when I don't have to commentate live. People find it kind of hard to wrap their head around, but multitasking like that is quite difficult. So thank you guys for bearing with me, and I hope you guys still enjoy this RTA content here. Starting off here, we have 3 clips, and it's against pretty aggressive players. Now, this team doesn't look very aggressive, but trust me, it escalates pretty quickly. So let's go ahead and jump to this first match here. My opponent starts off DeCasp with a Aiden, and so I thought, well, Aiden, that is not too hard to counter if it's a first pick. We're going to go with Yoha and Karina. Yoha for the true damage with her S3, and Karina with the true damage with her artifact. So yeah, with those 2 units, my opponent actually goes for some control, Aola and a Tywin, which I thought, okay, well, that just means I need to have immunity and some cleansers. So naturally, I go up with a DJB and LR Crow. Unintentionally going for a triple knight draft, so I apologize to my opponent here, but I mean, we're all climbing for Emperor, right? So all is fair. My opponent ends up going for an Arya, which is not fantastic into my first 4 units, and Landy, which is, so I definitely know what my ban was. With that, though, I ended up picking Milim as my last pick, because that helps dispel Landy's stealth, and it helps dispel Arya's stealth, meaning I can completely ignore her if I wanted to, which is fantastic. Now, I knew that my opponent was going to ban the Milim, so I banned the Landy, because otherwise Landy would destroy my team, because it relies on buffing, and it has really tanky units, which Landy is naturally good against. So here, we have DJB just going first, and I decide, you know what? There's no real need for me to push up, because otherwise all we're doing is just letting the Aola strip all of our buffs. So just S1 and do some chip damage on the Aola, let her take the turn. She is pretty fast though. She will be just S1ing into my Karina, and I'm okay with that. Now, I believe the Aiden here, the natural target would be to try to burst down this Karina. Otherwise, she'll proc at the defense buff and she'll be really hard to deal with, right? So, I think that's what he goes for, but without an attack buff, this wasn't really going to be scary at all. 5,000 damage into Karina was pretty much nothing at this point. And A Tywin, he wouldn't want to rip an S3 this early on, especially without his Fury buff, but because he didn't rip that S3, we're just going to bite with LR Crow, and we're going to get that immunity up. With that immunity, we're looking pretty good. I mean, even though Aiden countered there, and even though Aola got the skill null for the team, we get a nice chunky barrier in return, and yeah, we're just going to chip away a little bit at this Aiden. So there's no reason for me to pop Karina and her S3. We actually luckily hit the Aiden, even though we didn't need to. She already used her counter, so I didn't have to worry about that. Arya goes and gives a barrier to everybody, which is actually quite dangerous. And then Aola goes for an S3. Now, the Aola did not have enough effectiveness to get rid of the DJB here, and Aiden could not heal because, yeah, he debuffed me with his Aola. So we are able to barrier invert, take out the Aiden, and now we have the option of cleansing as well. We don't need to use DJB to go ahead and hit the Arya. So, gonna go ahead and push up the LR Crow, and at this point, I don't care about getting hit. So go ahead and hit there. She's going to counter. She's actually going to hit the DJB, which kind of sucks, but it at least gave my Karina a defense buff, which we're going to use to just go into the Arya here. There's no reason to hold on to it. If I tried to go into the A Tywin, he just cleansed the defense break. So unfortunately, a resist from the Arya, but we do get a nice chunk of damage that comes in after Arya goes for her follow-up attack. DJB is unfortunately going to go down, but look at that. Nice little splash damage there, and we just need Yoho to get damaged a little bit more, and hopefully Arya keeps hitting the LR Crow, because if we can get our cooldowns down, then we can make sure we have continuous immunity uptime, because I don't want this A Tywin to get any stuns on my team. So he's chipping away at the Karina, who is the natural target, and Aola loses stealth after this turn, so it gives me somebody else other than Arya to hit, which is kind of nice. So with the Arya here, she's going to take the turn, and she's kind of hoping that she doesn't hit the LR Crow, but at this point I already had the S3, and I thought, you know what, there's no reason to hold on to this, because A Tywin is a little bit scary. And even if we give him the Fury buff by allowing him to cleanse here, we get immunity, and there's no strippers on the team. Well, Aola is a stripper on the team, but I don't really care about that if I can just DPS them down. And look at this, Karina going to be taking the turn. We're going to hit the Aola here. I don't want the Arya to counter. So good chunk of damage there. And Aola has 2 more turns until she can use another S3. Yoha is super low, so she's within striking distance. And now this A Tywin, yeah, my opponent ends up just surrendering here. Yoha would be able to wipe out that Arya, and LR Crow is just a direct counter to A Tywin, so there's no way that he was winning that. Alright, for the next battle, yeah, I fight the same person again, DeCasp, and they're going for a completely different strategy. They get first pick and they slam that Zeo, but first pick Zeo always worries me, but a friend of mine was in voice call and we discussed the strategy here, and he just said take Spectre Tenebria. So that's exactly what we did. We picked DJB because of the Zeo, we get to push if someone else is silenced, and we picked the Spectre Tenebria to take the souls away from my opponent. They ban Bellion, so there's no out for me in that regard, and Karina's not there, so if they're cleaving, which they certainly are, then I needed a way to take away more souls from his team. So currently Zeo's a book holder, he needs another one of those. He goes for Yufine and Politis, which is the second book holder that he needs, and yeah, that Zeo-Yufine combo is pretty scary, but I just go for the Sage Ball and LR Crow, hoping to tank down a little bit and just weather the storm, right? My opponent picks Ron and actually goes for an Ed, because Ed is pretty good into his first 4 units, so that's quite unfortunate, but I do go for the Elena as a last pick. And she ends up getting banned, which is quite nice. I guess the AoE from Politis and the Ron was a little too much, yeah, if Elena was able to take the turn, he would not be able to cleave at all. I banned the Ed because then Sage Ball is still live, and I can use him to sleep the opponent's team. So he goes and takes the turn, Zeo pops off, and silences my Sage Ball, because of course, he's 170 resistance with Bastion of Hope, but that is not enough. 240 resistance is usually not enough to resist Zeo, but Sage Ball is still pushing up, which is quite nice. Ron does take the turn. He's gonna S3. No soul burn here. He's saving the souls. Right? So Sage Ball getting quite low and probably gonna be taken out here. Yep, so the Yufine going for the S2. Silence my Spectre, but he has no reach for her right now. And yeah, he goes for the S3 on that Yufine, and look at that damage. Absolutely insane. But what we got here is Spectre is silenced, Politis has an S3, and I need to get some healing in. So I have to go for an S1 here. Can't use non-attack skills, otherwise Politis just deletes me. So I do go for an S1 on the Ron, and bring Spectre's health up to about half. Now my Spectre has about 1300 defense, so she's looking quite healthy here. Yeah, see, so not able to finish off the Spectre Tenebria, and I'm able to go for a Vroom Vroom with my LR Crow. So I will definitely take that. Look at that damage coming in here. Very, very nice. And with him being on lifesteal, he's actually healing up quite a bit. So Spectre gets to go. We're going to finish off the Ron. That's the most reliable unit to hit because he's so squishy. And Yufine had the defense buff, right? So even though she's squishy, had to be careful there. Yufine gets to go again. She still has another S3. And Politis I didn't have to go for because, again, she didn't have any skills that would be able to reach my Spectre, so she's kind of safe just in the back line, and now everyone has to hit the LR Crow. Zeo hits twice here, so that's going to be quite nice for reducing my cooldown, and it's an effectiveness Zeo, so he's not dealing a ton of damage. Crow, unfortunately, was just one turn away from getting what he needed. But we're going to chip away at the Yufine. She is the next highest priority target. And even on miss, I believe I could have killed here, even though the Yufine had a defense buff, because I saw her HP earlier and it was quite low. So we unfortunately do miss, but 2800 damage was enough to take her out. And my opponent, yeah, pretty much has to attack the Salar Crow, and I have another horse, so they surrender. Quite unfortunate there, but that Spectre Tenebria was definitely a very smart pick into my opponent. Alright, last one here for this video. We're going to be going up against this Asia player, who's also an Emperor, as you can see. That's most of my matches now. But yeah, my opponent is actually picking Zio M. Politis into my first pick, DJB. So I followed that up with Karina, and, as advised, and I've learned to be a pretty decent strategy, is pick Spectre Tenebria against this. Because they have to go for a Yufine Zio, right? That's the type of cleave that they're going for. But then they follow up with a Cowric, so I thought, okay, into the first 4 units, Ed is actually not bad, because Cowric does have debuffs. And Ed could potentially, unless Cowric just one-shots him, solo this team. So the potential was there, and then I picked Sage Ball. My opponent ends up picking Pavel as his last pick, and I had to ban the Pavel, because otherwise, if my opponent got the chance to go, then Pavel would delete the Ed, and I would be in a pretty bad position. So yeah, let's go ahead and jump into this and see what happens. The Sage Ball was banned on my side. So Zio gets to go, and he takes the first turn. So he's going to enable this Yufine, which is unfortunate. Karina gets pushed way back. Look at that. It's almost as if she took the turn before Zio in combat readiness, but she's going to get absolutely deleted by this Yufine. She's a Merciless Glutton, so she's pushing up everybody. That's her typical artifact, I believe, that she's on. Yeah, but my opponent goes for the reset onto Ed. A little bit unfortunate, but we do survive, and it's fine. We're in Sigurd Scythe range, and that just means Politis can't attack the Ed, which I'm way more than okay with. She can't AoE here. Even if she did, Spectre has immunity, so we're looking fine. She went for a little bit of heal with the DJB, and now Ed can just go ahead and try to burst down the Yufine, because she resets her S3 whenever she takes the turn, or she kills with her S3. So she'll have it when she takes a turn next time. So we just soul burn and take her out. Politis can't do anything here. So the only real threat to my team comp right now is a Zio. We go ahead and stun the Zio. We're not able to kill because of his DFI having the damage. But yeah, stun him. Cowric gets that speed buff. He has that attack buff. He goes for the S3. And yeah, his S3 has a debuff, so he's not able to finish off Ed. Ed counters. We're able to stay in the game here. And yeah, we just try to burst down that Cowric, because what is Politis gonna do, right? I think we would have been able to lap the Cowric anyway, so we would have been able to take him out even without that dual attack from the Spectre Tenebria. And so there you have it. Pretty aggressive drafts coming out from my opponent's side, but we managed to weather the storm. And carry on climbing. So with that being said, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I really do appreciate it. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like and subscribe for more Epic 7 content. And until next time, take care.